Welcome back to OpenLine. Our topic tonight is legal options and advice for victims of domestic violence. Ameilia Luna is here from the Legal Aid Society, and we are so grateful for your time tonight, Amy. You know, one aspect of if someone does issue an order of protection, there are certain things that the person accused can no longer do. What are some of those examples of that? So
during that time, once the order of protection is granted, the final order that could last for up to a year, the perpetrator cannot own guns during that time. So they would have to turn them over to the police, and they're prohibited from doing that during the time that the order of protection is placed. Also, as we talked about, they can't contact them, they can't come around them, you can't send messages, you can't text them. If you do, then it's a violation, and you can be arrested, and you can go to jail, and then if the order of protection has been shown to be violated, they could ask for it to be extended for 5 years for one violation, 10 years if there's been 2 violations or more. So we could make that 1-year order of protection go much longer. And if, you know, so then they can get contempt charges within the order of protection. So there's serious consequences. And some people say, well, I have kids, I have to contact them. That's okay. You will put in the order that there will be contact regarding the children. And I always encourage my clients, make that communication by text, by email, and writing. So it's not we're on the phone and you're, you know, threatening me, but a text, pick up the, you know, we're going to meet at McDonald's. Well, you know, I'm running late, so text, I'll be there in 10 minutes. But communicating, you can communicate about your kids, but that's it, nothing else. You can't communicate about other things. So, and if you do, then you can, the perpetrator will get in trouble. Not the person who asked for the order of protection, but the person who it's against. So there's serious consequences on that.
And a lot of people may not realize, but one of the restrictions for someone who is accused is firearms.
Yes, you're not supposed to possess firearms during that time. So another clarification that I want to make is sometimes people think that they have an order of protection because maybe there was a criminal act that occurred and the police arrested the perpetrator, and there's bonds and there's bond conditions, and those bond conditions say they can't go around them. But that's not the same thing as an order of protection. If that criminal matter gets settled, those bond conditions go away. There's no longer an order of protection in place. There's also, you know, they can, you know, maybe if they violate the bond, it could revoke their, and, you know, they may have to go to jail and wait for the hearing. But I always encourage folks that, you know, the bonds conditions are not as the same thing as an order of protection, and you may need to get an order of protection.
Absolutely. Now, if someone violates that order of protection, you know, what can be some of the consequences that
they can go to jail. They can, if there's an order of protection in place and you call the police and they're at your house, when the police come, they're supposed to automatically arrest that person. That person will go to jail. Of course, they can bond out, but then there's an automatic arrest, and then there's a charge for violation in the order of protection, and then they can go to hearing on that. You know, and if they continue to violate, the courts may keep them in jail until they, you know, the criminal matters are settled and that sort of thing. So it's very serious. You go to jail if you violate it.
Absolutely. You know, we talked at the top of the show of, you made the point that there are a lot of people that make maybe several attempts at leaving, but then it's finally the one that's successful that obviously is the one that counts. Any recommendations for someone that maybe has been in that situation? They've made an attempt and it just wasn't successful. What word of advice would you have?
Make the attempt again. Seek resources. You know, what's preventing you from leaving? If it's financial resources, you know, talk to a domestic violence program to see what resources are available. You know, maybe the perpetrator can pay support. Get counseling too. Some people don't realize, you know, that they are in an abusive situation, and getting counseling can help them to see that that situation is not a safe situation. So seek counseling and look for the resources. Again, you can reach out to Legal Aid Society. You can reach out to the domestic violence programs in your area. They have lots of resources and support. And keep trying, especially, you know, to keep yourself safe. If you have children, to keep your children safe. You know, traumatizing things happening to you is not good for your health either. Lifelong effects of experiencing trauma over and over again.
To that point, I know that we have a graphic that has a lot of those resources that is spelled out, because I know I'm a visual learner. So if we could pop up that graphic when we can, just showing people what numbers they can call, what websites are available, you know, and this might be something that, even if this doesn't directly impact you, something that you can jot down in case it does with someone in your life, or if you know someone. You have that number 1-800-238-1443, or also the website there as well. We have the number for the National Domestic Violence Hotline, 1-800-799-7233, and then of course the Tennessee Domestic Violence Hotline as well, 1-800-356-6767. Amy, I know, you know, if someone calls one of these numbers, what would be something that they should really expect to be able to talk about, you know, once they make that call?
Yeah. Well, if they call the Legal Aid Society, they can tell us, you know, what is their problem. Do they need help with an order of protection? Do they need help with a divorce? And we can, you know, set them up to do an intake to assess their legal situation, to see what their legal needs are, and or refer them out to resources. The domestic violence hotlines, you know, there's folks to talk to about their situation, and they can help them, you know, talk to them about safety and independence, and even hook them up with some resources in their area too.
It seems like the overlining theme of all of this is, if someone, it may seem isolating obviously to be in a situation like this, but they don't have to go through this alone.
No, and there's help and there's support, and as the caller mentioned earlier, you know, we all can be supportive to folks who are in this situation, and the goal is to help them go from victims to survivors. And our support, providing resources, letting them know that there's ways to protect themselves and their children, that's what's going to help them to get to survivor.
Absolutely. We only have about a minute left. So any last advice from someone who maybe has been watching this tonight and go, that might apply to me some, you know, or I might know somebody that applies to?
Yeah. You know, again, just nobody deserves to be hurt. Nobody deserves to be controlled or isolated. You know, those are things, you know, if someone's trying to control you, someone's trying to cut you off from others, you know, be careful, watch out. This may not be a healthy situation. Seek help, talk, go to our website to see about resources to help you to get out of that abusive situation. And you can do it. You can look for resources, and you can get out of the bad, violent situation and be safe.
I was going to say, you know, we've talked a lot about how this is, you know, can be an elaborate step, but I also have to imagine you can't put a price on, you know, not having to be in that type of situation day in and day out.
Right, right. Safety and comfort, knowing that you're not going to be hurt, your children are not going to be hurt, is very important. And so if you've tried and it hasn't happened, try again. You know, seek resources. Things may be different, situations may be different. You may be able to do it this time. So,
well, Amy Luna from the Legal Aid Society, thank you so much for being with us tonight, giving a lot of your time, and you're a busy woman, as you've detailed here. So thank you so much for your time. We'll have a few final closing thoughts right after this break.
Thanks.